Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Hello. Happy Monday. We are again broadcasting from Salt Lake City, and I was just thinking to myself a moment ago that there's not a lot of rodeo shows. We should be on a rodeo circuit, maybe.
We should wake up.
True. There's not a lot of radio shows that travel all across the country and keep changing the time they have to, like based on the time zone to get up. So we're awake. I'm on my second cup of coffee. So if I say things like rodeo circuit, that you'll all know that that's just because Michelle's not quite.
She gets
fully,
a pass.
I think I haven't even wiped the sleep out of my eyes yet this morning. So it's Monday.
We're doing what we always do. We wake up talking buy here, pay here.
It's not just. Sometimes I think that's sweet
And sad.
weird and sad. But again, a lot of our friends have asked, why, what made you guys think of doing this? And it's like, well, that's what we talk about anyway. We might as well include
Switch
all
on
of
the
buy here, pay here land.
Switch on the microphones
Yeah,
and
exactly.
let
Good
people
morning,
join the conversation.
Bill. So good to have you.
Yeah, if you're tuning in, please let us know what state you're listening from. We're meeting new people that way, and we love to have different corners of the country represented. So, yeah, by all means, as you chime in there. And a quick shout out to David Zapata. Saw his post this morning, and he
What was that?
you need to find that and watch that. It's a cute little video. His family's in part of it, and his daughter just kind of blurts out, queso.
I did watch. That's so hilarious. Those of you who know us well know that last year we did a queso tour. We spent quite a bit of time in Texas because those of you who know us knew that for about a year and a half during the latter part of COVID, we had closed up shop in Salt Lake, sold or gave away all of our furniture. That statement in itself, whenever I say that to women, they look at me like, what are you serious? And then we just, we bought a 27-foot travel trailer and just bebopped around the mostly the southern half of the U.S. I think the furthest north we got was about Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So we were in Texas quite a bit. And when Jim and I first met, the understanding Jim had is that I did not have any idea what real queso was. It was just like white cheese sauce that just was this mild cheese sauce that you just enjoyed, every once in a while with your chips from Taco Bell. And so we went on a queso tour, and those of you who follow us on Facebook, we had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
A lot of fun. And apparently, when we were at NIADA, that was brought up by quite a few of the people that we know, the queso tour. And so I thought that we were like, okay, that is a chapter closed, but apparently I think we should continue.
Oh, no. Yeah, we
queso lives.
I'm going to be doing queso again in Austin when we're there for TIADA.
Yeah. Well, but we did start a new one. And so we'll have 2 tours. The other one is the smoked old fashioned tour.
Yeah, we invite all of you to join us. If you're enjoying a smoked old fashioned, please post it.
Yeah.
And throw a hashtag on there so we can find it. And Bill Elizondo is part of that with us. We were lucky enough to meet up with Bill in the Tampa area and enjoyed a smoked old fashioned, and most recently in Vegas. And so, yeah, it seems to be a new thing.
Well, and we were chatting with him a little bit ago, and he said that he was going to be in Salt Lake in a couple of weeks. And it's like, oh, interesting enough. We will be here too. We should start researching where they do smoked old fashions and get together for a smoked old fashioned.
And I have to go back quickly and say that our Spanish speaking friends who might be listening know that, I'm half Spanish. They may not know that part, but I don't speak much Spanish. Yeah, I don't speak much Spanish, but our Spanish speaking friends, when they hear us say queso, that's kind of the American. It's more like queso.
Is it?
Queso is how the Spanish would say it. Yeah.
I'm not going to see. The thing is, I can do queso, If I try to say it the other way, I'm sure I'll screw it up so bad, and they're just going to be like, just shh.
Yeah. Just making sure that they know that I know. So
absolutely. Last week we finished up NIADA. Those of you who didn't have the opportunity to go, we did the recap and some of our thoughts about it, and it's been really fun to watch other people. Like the one that you were mentioning earlier, talk about their experience there, and yeah, it was a really good, it was a great conference. We really enjoyed it on all avenues.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's very good. So we had in mind to talk this morning about the gaping holes. We've covered 3 topics on that, and that's just kind of our effort to help dealers understand some of the things that we have learned in our travels, and in particular, the things that I've learned by being inside operations and of course, owning my own dealership and finance company for 7 years. There's things that you learn and things that you observe in your travels, and you start to, as you visit operations, especially that you're coming in behind an embezzlement situation, or, what you thought was a mismanagement problem turns out to be an embezzlement situation. But as you investigate those things, there are things that creep up, and you discover ways to, kind of create safeguards or checks and balances to, guard against those kind of situations. So the one I wanted to cover today is, is a simple thing to explain. It's something that I see almost no one doing, but it's just as simple as reconciling receivables to cash. And I remember for a client in Texas, I created a template, and I'm happy to share that if people reach out to us. By the way, Michelle, we don't let people know how to contact us.
Oh, we really don't.
We really don't.
We?
But
well, I mean, we're welcome. You're welcome to contact. And those of you who are on the success group or the boardroom, can just reach out to us via Facebook. Best way to reach out.
Yeah, you can throw a message on, if you're tracking us on YouTube, just throw a message in the comments and we'll happily send the stuff over to you. Yeah. So,
or go to octane.group and there's a contact us tab.
And I created a template, but of course, every DMS is going to be a little bit different, but the premise is the same. What we're really attempting to do, and if you think about it, every dollar that's in your receivables at the beginning of a period, day, week, month, whatever, every dollar that's represented in your receivables should be accounted for, so that if, let's just pick a week, we start the week with X amount of receivables. Obviously, we accrue some interest and we collect some interest on payments. But if we look just at the principal, then we should be able to identify, okay, if we started the period with X amount of principal and we closed the period with Y amount of principal, then we should be able to identify every bit of that movement of dollars. So it's simple. I mean, it's just a simple thing, but it's like
so many don't do it.
I find so many just don't do it. And it's a way for us to identify, what I called leakage in some of our prior conversations. It's collection efficiency is a way to help identify these things, but really it just makes sense that if dollars are leaving our portfolio, then that should be represented in our software. We should be able to identify, we add new principal from new contracts. We collected a certain amount of principal. We charged off a certain amount of principal. Maybe we, otherwise amended a contract and maybe wrote off some principal. Regardless of whatever steps are happening, whatever's occurring in the software, we should be able to identify every nickel of movement in that portfolio. And so it's just it's a basic step that we should all be taking.
I know for a lot of people, I enjoy spreadsheets and numbers and things about as much as the average next person. I mean, I do enjoy them. Jim really understands them and enjoys playing with formulas and all of that a lot. And I recognize that you probably, dealers out there, they don't, because like they'll look at it and they go, oh, well, that's reasonable. That's what I've seen. And it just gives them it makes their mind their head want to explode, probably, to think, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to dive in here and figure this out.
Yeah. And so it's not necessarily that the dealer themselves need to be doing it. I would recommend that the dealer at least periodically spot check it and verify, because we don't want to turn those kind of things over to a controller or, better for a third party that's outside the operation. Yeah.
Wait, an accountant?
Like an Amanda Sanchez, Amanda Butler Sanchez.
Yeah. Okay. So can I squirrel just a little bit? And those of you who know me, squirrel is code for.
Like I could stop you.
Yeah, that's true. Squirrel is code for. Okay, I got something I want to add that this just sparked something in my head, and I want to add it. I was chatting with Hugo at the conference, and we were talking about the need of having someone that is an accountant that is very well versed in buy here, pay here. And that's not go and, we're saying the only people out there are Butler Sanchez. That's not it at all, but they're a really good option.
Oh, sure.
And people that we know and trust personally. But he mentioned that when a dealer comes to him and says, I've got a great accountant, they do my books, and Hugo says, do they pull any reports off of your DMS when they're doing their normal accounting? And he said that most people say no.
Right.
And when they say no, he's like, then your accounting is very off.
Yeah. It's incomplete.
It's incomplete. And so, I'll just put that out there, and you're welcome, Hugo.
Yeah.
And Amanda.
Yeah.
And every other buy here, pay here accountant out there.
Yeah.
That if you as a dealer are not pulling, or if your accountant, your CPA is only going off of what's on QuickBooks or whatever, then they're not getting the full picture.
There are absolutely things to understand that are specific to buy here, pay here, that a typical CPA, in fact, I used to jokingly say this. I have to be careful because it sounds like a total smart aleck, but I used to say that, I'm not a CPA, but I have educated a few of them. And what I mean by that is, it's different. Buy here, pay here is different. There's things that and especially when you incorporate things like a related finance company, and of course there's leasing in our space that, not every CPA out there is familiar with. So yeah, it's really important to have somebody who's familiar with this business. Not every retail operation out there has receivables. They may have contracts in transit, which is a different thing. That's a fairly small count of contracts out there relative to what we do. I mean, compared to what we do in buy here, pay here. So it's just especially important. And so again, on this gaping holes things, one of the things we can do is identify every dollar, and it may be written off. It may be some sort of account adjustment, but we need to know exactly where every dollar went. And I would recommend that, it's at a minimum that's done monthly. But I would hope that we could settle into a rhythm where that could be done more frequently than that.
Yeah, I agree. We had a comment here that came from Martin Gutierrez. Wants to know, he says, I love spreadsheets. You guys should sit down for a smoked old fashioned, Martin.
That's right.
We could talk spreadsheets. Jim, would you be able to attach the reconciliation template to the podcast?
I can try. We've had trouble in the Facebook groups with some of these forms and certain documents. But yeah, I would say between Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel, I should be able to find a way to do that inside the Facebook groups, and otherwise make it available. Happy to do that. Just remember that not every software is the same, which means not every DMS might use a little different language or label for different things. What one might call an account adjustment, somebody else may call a write-off or whatever, so just be aware of that. But yeah, I'm happy to share that, Martin. Thanks for the question. And yeah, we're happy to make sure dealers have those tools available, because it's just it's the kind of thing that needs to happen. And we find also that not every DMS out there is protecting our dealers in the way that we'd like. So
yeah. Which it's those of you who love spreadsheets. So Martin, there are some DMSs that Jim you remember how I said head exploding about trying to receive or to reconcile cash? There are some DMSs that make Jim's head want to explode.
Yeah. And I don't use a lot of foul language, but Michelle, there's some of them.
When I hear a nice word, I'm like, are you in a DMS?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing right now? Yeah.
Yeah, there are some that really frustrate me. So, and I've kind of been on record about that in the past. But yeah, I think it's really goes back to that thing about incomplete. Like it doesn't do, that's my big frustration, is the software doesn't do everything that a dealer really should have in order to make sure that these holes are plugged, these gaping holes that we're talking about. This is about just simple safeguards to make sure the dealer is at least able to identify everything. Ideally, they would be able to identify it and prevent the leakage, but they're but at the minimum they need to be able to identify it.
Yeah. Wait, don't you have a joke?
A dumb dad joke? Oh, you told me we were going to start dumb dad jokes. So here's one for you. So I went to the retirement home to visit my dad, and
which he's in a lovely place. Yeah, he's got a dad and
this is a joke. It's not about
but
my
it's
real dad.
but you can make it a lot more fun.
Oh, by making it real about my dad.
Make it like you.
Well, my dad does have hearing aids. So the story is I went to visit my dad, and he shared with me that he got some new hearing aids and that they were really expensive and high tech. And I said, "Oh, really? What kind did you get?" He said, $230.
So Jim told this at Father's Day because his mom broke him out of the nursing home. And
on good behavior.
Well, that's like a really thin line for Jim's dad. Jim's dad's quite a character.
He's
feisty. And brought them to Albuquerque. He's in like up northern Texas, right off of the border of Oklahoma. And Jim told him that joke, and it was hilarious because he is hard of hearing, although he wears hearing aids. And in the middle of a conversation, he would just yell, 230.
230. Yeah, it became a joke.
It was lovely. We had such a great time with them. So, anything else you want to add on gaping holes?
No, I would just say it kind of ties into the conversation that was on Facebook in the boardroom group. Amanda threw a post out there about, what do you dislike or what's your least favorite part of accounting, I think was the question. And there was quite a bit of dialogue there. And I would invite people that didn't make time to get in there and read that stuff, because there's a lot of interesting feedback there. And I kind of shared that, one of my frustrations has been that accounting is necessary to help us know what kind of tax liability we have, what we owe the
and that's
IRS.
Another thing that makes most people's head explode.
Yeah, and they don't want to know, except that in our business, from a cash management standpoint, we have to know. And you've heard me say, when we're working with new dealers on the front end, we have to project profits, because we have to be able to estimate income tax, because of why it affects our cash, right? It affects our capitalization needs. So in this case, I was just saying that my frustration with accounting is that it's necessary for the sake of calculating taxes, but it doesn't help the dealers really know what's going on in their operation. And then, of course, if you add a related finance company, it can become even more challenging for the dealers to really understand, certainly from their financials, what's going on. Then you have, so there's operational, and then there's lending, so.
And Tom piped in quite a bit.
Tom Cyber from Spartan and formerly Hamilton State Bank. And so he certainly knows this stuff. He and I've talked about this plenty over the years. And, the other thing too with lenders is, some might lean pretty heavily on a collateral recovery rate. Others might look at loss to liquidation ratio. I forget the one that was recently mentioned to us, that the capital markets look only at X. Well, it's like they're all looking at different things. And so I've heard debt service coverage ratio, so it's like, the financials tell us one thing. We want to really know how the portfolio is performing and the business is otherwise performing. And that's not just the profits. Well, the profitability in this business is a little bit of a misnomer. It's like it's misleading for us. And so we know that whole thing about phantom profit. So that's the thing for me, is there's a bit of a disconnect between the financials and the portfolio performance, the cash results in the business, the cash outlook for the business, and then the whole lending, what the lenders might look at is something different. So that's my frustration. It just doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah. And I pulled up the thread in the boardroom. Those of you who are not in the Buy Here, Pay Here, or BHPH boardroom, and are a dealer out there or
Sure.
some, please,
Industry people.
or industry people, please ask to join that, as well as BHPH Success. But the original question from Amanda was, what frustrates you about accounting?
Okay.
And one of the first people, Brett, Buckeye Brett, was like, the numbers.
The numbers, yeah. Yeah.
But there are 69 comments.
Yeah.
So
just tell you
it was a pretty active thread, and I'm sure that there still will be more that will be added to it. But you had Amanda and Tom Siver and Jim and a few dealers that really understand a lot of this that were piping in. And
Russell Moore chimed in on that. So you can find that little part of the thread really because great. This is an example of how we just don't know the stuff. And I shared in there a little screenshot of some of the things that I have done with when we're helping new dealers, especially those coming out of retail, because it's a challenging thing to adjust mentally from the way retail looks, and especially in financials, to how, what we really can see in our financials in buy here, pay here. And so I try to help dealers start to think about, look, let's just get hyper focused on cash flow. How much cash do we need? Which really means how many accounts do we need paying us at an average of $437 a month, as an example. How many accounts do we need on the books before we're getting into cash positive? And so, as I mentioned in the thread there's cash positive from an operational standpoint, which is usually just, in my way of thinking, it's cost of overhead and cost of replacing inventory. So that's what I mean by operational. Once we get to that number, then we're generating positive cash from an operational standpoint. We still have income tax to think about, which is why we need our financials to tell us our income and know how much we need to cover income tax. But I think Russell chimed in and said, it's surprising how few dealers really know that number or think in those terms.
One of the things he says is, what does he hate about accounting as much? He says that I can't make up numbers like my government does and not be questioned.
Be careful. That's a private group. You're going to get Russell in trouble.
Sorry, Russell.
He's going to get visitors.
It's like, that's hilarious.
You're going to get people pulled up at Russell's dealership in an unmarked car.
We love Russell. Sorry, Russell. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll buy you an old fashioned.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Next time we're in the area. Yeah. What else?
I don't know that I've got anything else. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about, but we've got some things coming up, some announcements that I'm going to have to keep everybody informed. Just watch for the announcements through the Facebook threads and whatever else. We've got some.
Well, first off, Wednesday, our next regularly scheduled podcast will be White Hat Wednesday, and we have Rick Reeves coming to join us.
I don't know if that's going to work out.
Oh, really?
So you didn't know
okay,
that part.
Never mind.
So we're going to maybe reschedule that, but we do have Rick Reeves will be joining us one day soon, as will Amanda and Tom.
Yeah, we were trying to get that scheduled to get those two on for Friday, and it doesn't look like it's going to, or today. It doesn't look like it's going to work.
We will let folks know we still have our broadcasts on Wednesday and Friday, but there's a chance we'll be doing a recorded broadcast for the Monday, the 4th of July.
So please forgive us if we aren't like, live, but we can try to make it. I'll have Jim do 2 dumb dad jokes. So it's a little entertaining for those that want to pipe in. But so we haven't like fully decided whether or not we're going to do that as a recorded broadcast, but because I don't want to get in the habit of doing that.
No, I know, but it will be a holiday and we'll be with family. So
that's true.
So it'll be one of those kind of things, but we'll see. We'll let you know
that's
how
absolutely
that
true.
turns out. But we got some guests coming together. We just need to coordinate schedules and figure out when they can join us. But we're looking forward to having Rick Reeves join us, and then Amanda and Tom will. Amanda Sanchez and Tom Siver have both agreed to join us. We just need to figure out when that's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one of the things we forgot to mention too is that TIADA is coming up. It's just a few weeks away, and we will be there. Again, Jim's going to be moderating a national dealer panel, and some really great dealers on that panel. And then we're also going to be speaking on business planning, which is supposed to be a 101 kind of buy here, pay here class. But, if you want to, it's going to be for everybody. It really is going to be for everybody. We're looking forward
even if you're not
it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
It's and then we haven't really chatted with the good folks there at TIADA about broadcasting live, but
Yeah.
We will, at least from a hotel room,
Sure,
be doing that. So we'll have to have a conversation and see if we can do that a little bit while we're there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then also, I might just share the word that we did get word from TIADA. Of course, dealers from outside Texas are invited to come. They're encouraged to come, but TIADA did say they have sold out their room block for the hotel. So I might need to make other arrangements.
We know this because we looked at it last year. Last year, there's a great RV park real close by. I don't know if they rent out RVs, but there's a great RV park. So if you've got an RV and you can't get a room, there is something.
And it's possible they can still get a room at the resort. They just might not get the room block rate.
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing that we found when we booked our room for NIADA, that the room block was the ones that they blocked were already gone, and so I just chose the the most affordable, because it's like we're not going to be there very much. Oh my gosh, it was like way off. I mean, you think you're walking a long ways just normally in Vegas, but it was way off. And there was this long hallway that we would walk through, probably the block rooms that they had for everybody else, and continue walking. The hallway got really narrow.
Just say the MGM Grand is quite grand.
It's really big. Well, there's some areas that are not as grand as others.
Yeah.
But it had a clean bed and a shower and hot water, and we were really, really happy about that. One other thing, just before we wrap up, we did make the announcement about the BHPH Nation, or as I will probably mostly refer to it as the Nation. Those of you who want to know a little bit more about what that is about, we did a special broadcast last Wednesday live, and while we were at the regularly scheduled time, which was like 6 a.m. in Vegas. Go ahead and look at that or listen to that broadcast if you're not familiar with what the Nation is. And that's something that we already have the website up. And we'll be releasing more and more opening more and more of that website as we go.
And the website is bhphnation.com. We would invite you to just go there. There's a learn more button. Hit the learn more. Send us in your email. And that way, as the Nation is rolled out, you'll be notified and you can get in there and check it out. But we're quite excited about what that's going to be for the industry. Yeah.
And these podcasts, as well as Tote the Note, that will be another place that they will reside. So, and the intent of the Nation is the place you go for all the stuff that you'd possibly need in Buy Here, Pay Here, whether or not all that be
providers,
all the providers,
and
education,
all the
resources. There will be a community page, and we will also be siloing dealers and team members, so that if there is a conversation that dealers want to have about pay plans or whatever, that will be a conversation that will be only amongst dealers.
There will be dealer only chat rooms or whatever. So that's one of the things we want to curate. Those who come in, we're going to verify or validate dealers so that you'll know you're talking dealer to dealer in there. Yeah. So if you want to learn more about that, feel free to go back and listen to the Wednesday broadcast from last Wednesday at the NIADA conference, our regularly scheduled broadcast. And, if we talk about a lot of really fun topics, it was great to talk to a lot of you at NIADA and about how they've enjoyed some of the things that we've been teaching, because this is it's fun, but it's mostly educational. And one of the things that we do is we love to teach, and we want to make sure that the things that we think dealers need to understand is that's just content that we're just going to be putting out there, and it's just going to be more and more, and it will be available to whoever wants to take a moment to learn. What we do is, for our putting a roof over our head and all of that, is not the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. This is just fun. This is our play time. We help dealers learn which things that they need to learn. And so, we will help with doing discovery of the
business after a dealer will let us know, hey, I'm struggling with this and this and this, and then give them a list of here's the things, and then if that is something that they want some help with, that we actually shift into coaching and implementation. So we can help you with that as well if there is a need, because we know, goodness gracious, it's almost everything that a dealer can do to get to a conference and learn more. And they come back with a book full of stuff, or a 20 group meeting for that matter, come back with a book full of stuff. And then by the time the next one rolls around, it's like, oh, I have a book full of stuff with every intention of being able to implement it. And then it's a challenge a lot of times.
And
so
Michelle and I are in the process of adding people to our team so we can help dealers more on the whole follow-through.
We have a couple of phone calls today because we're adding to our team.
So it's just, we're trying to be able to be part of a follow-through solution for dealers to help them actually implement the things that they want to see change in their business. So
absolutely. So I hope you guys have a great Monday. And it's the last little bit of June. How has the year gone by so fast?
Wait, it's Monday?
Wait, yeah, it is.
It's Monday. Okay. All right.
It's Monday, and in just a couple of days, it will be July 1st, and we'll be in the second half of 2020.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. So have yourself a great rest of your day, and we will see you on Wednesday for our White Hat Wednesday, and hopefully, cross fingers, we can get Rick here. If not, we'll have some great content there for you about how to be a more ethical dealer.
Find us at 9 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday.
Have a great day, guys.